The letter kills, but the Spirit gives life. Years ago, I heard this from one of the brethren I had known. It was referring to something that had happened years previously. A letter had come back from a young man who had been in the community for a while, but had left. And this letter came back, which provoked the brethren to a certain reflection. The Holy Mass was celebrated with great reverence, and on it went in that vein, but I did notice that some of the brethren did not talk to each other. So that young man had got on that there was something wrong. It can happen. One can have a splendid liturgy, but the inner dynamics may be contaminated. The soul cannot pray if it is contaminated by bad thoughts, bad feelings, bad will. Why? It's the same faculty that loves God, but is not loving others. And if there's a blockage on the horizontal, it's blocking also the vertical. And it happens. On the other hand, one sees, as one looks around the Christian planet, instances where young people are attracted precisely because there's a symbiosis between that vertical and the horizontal. That God is honored and there is love. I remember hearing this years ago with regard to a monastery in California, always full of young people. There are about 43 now in formation. And this article written upon them, St. Michael's Abbey, Orange, asked one of the young men why he'd entered. And he calmly answered, I came on a summer camp and I saw that there was joy in this community and I wanted it. Indeed, that does draw. I remember in Rome we were living with brethren from that community, and they had a huge influence on the liturgy of the house to the extent that others coming in from other colleges said it's the most beautiful liturgy in Rome. But there was also warmth. Remember, when my community was in difficulty, they were discreetly trying to drop hints, looking at me sideways and saying, you wouldn't think of a transitus, would you? Hint, hint. California is a long distance away. However, be aware of the issue. For it's no use trying to program vocations by human means. Why? We're not handling something human. God is in charge of the operation. And as with a seminary, there's no point in having a big vocations drive if the will of God is not being done and taught as He wants in a seminary. He honors and blesses those who honor and bless Him. It comes back to us. I remember, in the context of the uncelebrated feast today of St. Clare, I had a lot to do with the monastic world, the Franciscan world in Italy. It's a very Franciscan country, as you know. And one time, because I was his guest master for quite a while, I was seeing all these lovely people of all sorts who would come to us on retreat, even consecrated souls or people looking for a vocation, making their vocation discernment in their retreat. And this girl came to me in a Franciscan habit at the end of her retreat and gave me a card. Her name actually was Sister Clare. And could you just pray on this day coming up? So that's what's going on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What's going on here? Oh yeah, 10 of us. 10 young girls making their solemn vows on the same day. Young Franciscans buzzing with life. Another time, because we had a lot to do with the nearby Augustinian convent of Ceto, an invitation came, could you come over? And they had a profession. 4 young girls making solemn vows. And beautiful angelic music and singing to boot. And I remember actually being moved by the love in that community. I happened to notice one time, talking there across the Bryn at the time to Mother Sophia, a young superior elected, Mother Abbess. There were 4 of them around, and I noticed one or two of them were sitting right next to her, nearly on her knee, and were hugging her. There was love in that community, and it drew other young people to the extent they had no more room for young vocations, and they had to think about finding another house. The Lord was blessing them because it was healthy, and the liturgy was also beautiful, young voices. Now, what am I saying? We're handling not man here in the realm of God. God, therefore, must reign in his house. It applies also with regard to the concept of recruiting for the priesthood. For young men need to be warned that it's not indifferent where they go if they have a vocation. If they're taught certain things, it's what will go into their system and what they will teach to others. If, on the other hand, they're taught the truth and nothing but the truth, God will be raised up on high in glory and given his place. I heard on the grapevine that in certain places, in recent years, they were looking to form a certain kind of priest, a good administrator, a good person with social skills. And yet, when it came to prayer, it was deficient. Proof. How many priests abandon the divine office very quickly because they're busy for the Lord? Specifically with regard to the gospel of today, my friends, it applies to us. For notice that it was a Levite and a priest who went by on the other side, and an outsider who had compassion, mercy. Archbishop Anthony Bloom, Eastern Orthodox, has a meditation on the Lord's mercy in this form, that when we say the Jesus prayer, we have that word coming in, have mercy on me. We have God, and we have man, and the bridge between is mercy. And they, day and night, keep repeating that prayer. And the word eleison, which we also have in the Kyrie here, eleison, have mercy, he links with the oil and wine put on the wound. We can't be hard of heart, either before God or before man. We must be mercy, we must be healing. And that, my friends, is very concrete. I mentioned that as guest master I had lots to do with all these people, all kinds of people. But I did notice one thing. They all had one thing in common when they come on retreat. They wanted to count, to be felt, to matter. Coming from a cold world where no one mattered, to have the ear of somebody who cared for their soul and greeted them, yes, with a certain warmth, it made a huge difference in a chilly universe. We can all do the same. It matters how you pass somebody in the street. A smile can actually be warming and can change the value of a day. A glowering look can do the contrary. In the car, courtesy. I remember when I was a child, there was an advert in black and white cartoon in those days by the Road Safety Board. It went something like this. Two cars coming up to the crossroads. Not like this, but like this. Ooh. After you. No, after you. The caption was courtesy.